Single dad drove his drunk boss home. What she said the next morning left him speechless. Morning always came quietly in Daniel Carter's apartment. Not because the city outside was calm, it wasn't, but because Daniel had learned how to wake before the noise, before the horns, before the buses, before the world started asking for things. The alarm on his phone buzzed at 5:30 a.m. sharp, vibrating against the cracked nightstand beside his bed. Daniel silenced it immediately, careful not to wake the small shape curled up on the other side of the room. His daughter Lily slept with one arm flung over her head, her dark curls spread across the pillow like spilled ink. She was 8 years old and had mastered the art of sleeping like nothing in the world could touch her. Daniel watched her for a moment, the way he did every morning. Still breathing. Still safe. Only then did he sit up. The apartment was small, one bedroom, a narrow kitchen, a living room that doubled as Lily's art studio, but it was clean. Not spotless. Lived in. The kind of place where life happened quietly. Daniel swung his legs over the bed, his feet finding the cold floor automatically. He dressed in the dim light, worn jeans, clean shirt, jacket hanging by the door. His job didn't require much more than that. Driver. That was the title on paper. Professional driver, technically. Assigned to the executive team at Northstar Dynamics, one of the fastest-growing tech firms in the city. But to most people at work, Daniel Carter barely existed. And that suited him just fine. In the kitchen, he moved softly, muscle memory guiding him. Coffee first. Lunch packed second. Lily's favorite apple slices arranged neatly in a small container, crusts cut off her sandwich the way she liked. At 6:10 a.m. Lily stirred. Daniel smiled without turning around. Morning bug, he said. She groaned. Too early. You say that every day. That's because it's always true. He turned as she sat up, rubbing her eyes. She wore one of his old t-shirts as a nightgown, the hem almost to her knees. School day, he said gently. She looked at him for a long moment, then nodded and slid out of bed. This was their routine. No rush. No shouting. No chaos. They had learned how to survive without it. At the small kitchen table, Lily ate her breakfast while Daniel checked the weather on his phone. Rain later. He made a mental note to drive carefully. Lily pushed her plate aside and pulled out her notebook, thick, worn, filled with drawings. What's today's rule? She asked, not looking up. Daniel leaned against the counter, coffee warming his hands. When someone falls, he said automatically, you stop to help. No matter who they are. She nodded, satisfied, and began to draw. That rule had started years ago, back when Lily was 5. They'd been walking home from daycare when they saw an older man trip on the sidewalk, groceries spilling everywhere. People walked around him. Some glanced. Most didn't. Daniel had stopped. He always stopped. He'd helped the man up, gathered the groceries, waited until the man caught his breath. Lily had watched the whole thing silent. That night she'd asked why. Because, Daniel had told her, kneeling so they were eye to eye, how you treat people when you don't have to, that's who you really are. She'd never forgotten it. Neither had he. By 7 a.m., they were in Daniel's old sedan, the engine humming as the city woke around them. Lily sat in the back seat, backpack beside her, drawing balanced on her knees. What are you making today? Daniel asked, pulling into traffic. A bridge, she said. A bridge? Yeah. So people can get across without falling. Daniel smiled. At the school curb, Lily leaned forward and kissed his cheek. Be good today, she said seriously. I always am. She paused, hand on the door. Daddy? Yeah, bug? You still stop. Right. He met her eyes in the mirror. Always. She nodded, satisfied, and hopped out of the car. Daniel waited until she was safely inside before driving away. Only then did he let his shoulders drop. Northstar Dynamics rose out of the city like a glass monument. 42 floors of steel and ambition. Valet area buzzing by the time Daniel arrived. Executives in tailored suits. Assistants glued to their phones. Security nodding as Daniel pulled into his usual spot. He stepped out, smoothed his jacket, and checked his schedule. CO transport. Evening event. Daniel exhaled slowly. Mara Whitmore. 34 years old. CO. Brilliant. Ruthless according to most people. The youngest executive to take Northstar public. Known for precision. Control. Ice-cold composure. She never raised her voice. She never explained herself. She expected perfection and tolerated nothing less. Daniel had been her driver for nearly 2 years. She barely knew his name. That wasn't bitterness. Just fact. At 6:45 p.m., the anniversary gala began. 10 years of North Star. Ballroom downtown. Champagne. Cameras. Speeches. Daniel waited by the car, hands folded, posture relaxed but alert. He watched employees arrive laughing, flushed, free in a way they never were during office hours. Mara arrived last. She stepped out of the building in a midnight blue dress, hair pinned back, expression composed as ever. Flashbulbs exploded. Applause rippled. Daniel opened the door without comment. She nodded once and got in. The drive was quiet. But something was off. Daniel noticed it in the way she leaned back, eyes closed longer than usual. In the way she exhaled, sharp, like the weight of the day had finally found her. At the venue she paused before getting out. "You'll be here?" she said. Not a question. "Yes, ma'am." Her eyes flicked to him, brief, unreadable. Then she stepped out and disappeared into the lights. Hours passed. Daniel didn't drink. Never did on the job. He stood near the exit, listening to the music thrum through the walls, watching rain begin to streak the pavement. At 10:43 p.m., everything changed. The assistant came running. "Daniel, please. We need you." Her voice was tight. Fear threaded through it. "It's Ms. Whitmore," she whispered. "She's had too much to drink. She won't listen to anyone else." Daniel hesitated. Driving a drunk executive home wasn't technically against protocol. But it was risky. Optics mattered. Rumors lived on less than nothing. But Lily's voice echoed in his head. "When someone falls." He nodded. "I'll handle it." Inside the lobby, Mara sat slumped on a velvet bench, mascara faintly smudged, champagne glass abandoned at her feet. Her posture, always impeccable, was gone. She looked up as Daniel approached. "Oh," she said, squinting. "You." "Yes, ma'am." She laughed. Not the clipped sound people knew. This was softer. "Real." "Do you think I'm terrible?" she asked suddenly. Daniel offered his arm, steady. "I think you've had a long night." She studied him for a moment, then leaned into his support. "Take me home," she said. And Daniel Carter did what he had always done. He stopped. If this story made you feel something, calm, grounded, understood, subscribe to the channel. Stories like this are about the quiet choices that change everything. Rain came down harder the moment Daniel pulled away from the curb. The city blurred into streaks of white and red as windshield wipers fought the downpour. Inside the car, the silence felt thick, fragile, like one wrong word could shatter it. Mara Whitmore sat in the back seat, head tipped against the window, eyes half closed. "Too bright," she muttered. Daniel reached forward and dimmed the dashboard lights without being asked. "Better?" She cracked one eye open. "You're good at that." "At driving?" "No. At noticing." He didn't answer. The rain hammered the roof. Traffic thinned as the hour crept later. After a few minutes, Mara spoke again. Her voice was softer now, stripped of the sharp edge Daniel was used to hearing in boardrooms. "Do you know how exhausting it is," she said, "to be the person everyone expects to be right?" Daniel glanced at the rearview mirror. She was watching the city pass by, not him. "I imagine it doesn't leave much room to be wrong." She laughed quietly. "Room? There's no room. Not even a corner." The car stopped at a red light. "You know," she continued, "people think power feels like freedom." Daniel waited. "It doesn't," she said. "It feels like standing on a stage with the lights so bright you can't see the audience but you know they're there. Waiting for you to trip." The light turned green. Daniel drove on. "My daughter likes stages," he said eventually. Mara blinked. "You have a daughter?" "Yes, ma'am." "How old?" "8." There was a pause. "Does she look at you like you can fix everything?" Daniel smiled faintly. "She thinks I can." Mara swallowed. "That must be nice." The rest of the drive passed in near silence. By the time they reached the tower where Mara lived, the rain was relentless, drenching the street in silver. Daniel parked beneath the awning and stepped out into the storm. He opened the back door. "Ms. Whitmore," he said gently. "We're here." No response. He leaned in slightly. "Mara." Her head lolled toward him. She was out. Daniel took a slow breath. This was the moment that mattered. He looked around. The doorman stood under the canopy, watching without expression. Cameras blinked softly above the entrance. Daniel slid one arm behind her back, the other under her knees. "Sorry," he murmured, mostly to himself. She was lighter than he expected. Fragile in a way she never was at work. As he lifted her, her head fell against his shoulder. From the sidewalk it could have looked like something else. Daniel felt it immediately, that weight of perception pressing down. Inside the elevator, the doors slid shut with a quiet chime. Mara stirred. Don't, she mumbled. I've got you, Daniel said. Her fingers curled into the fabric of his jacket. Everyone leaves, she whispered. Daniel's jaw tightened. I'm not everyone. The doors opened into the penthouse. Blast. Still. City lights stretching forever. He carried her down the hall, found the bedroom without searching. He'd been trained to notice layouts, exits, patterns. He laid her down carefully, easing her shoes off, pulling a blanket up over her shoulders. She looked younger like this. Unarmored. As Daniel turned to leave, her hand shot out and grabbed his wrist. Harder than he expected. Don't leave me, she said, eyes fluttering open just enough to focus. Not like he did. Daniel froze. Mara, he said quietly. You're safe. Her grip tightened. Please. He sat on the edge of the bed, careful to keep space between them. I'll stay, he said. I'll be right outside. Her fingers loosened. Her breathing evened. She was asleep again. Daniel stood, heart pounding. In the kitchen, he filled a glass with water, found aspirin, set both on the nightstand. Then he moved to the living room and sat on the leather couch, rain tapping against the massive windows. He pulled out his phone. She's home. Safe. Sleeping. I'll stay nearby. Daniel, he leaned back and closed his eyes. Just for a minute. Morning light cut through the penthouse like a blade. Mara's head throbbed the moment she opened her eyes. Her mouth tasted like metal and regret. She groaned, rolling onto her side, and froze. She wasn't alone. Not in the bed. But something was wrong. She sat up slowly. The room came into focus. Her dress was wrinkled. Her shoes were gone. A glass of water and aspirin sat neatly beside her. She didn't remember doing that. Her stomach dropped. She swung her legs over the bed and stood, unsteady, grabbing the wall for balance. Hello, she called. No answer. She stepped into the living room. Daniel stood at the kitchen counter, wearing the same clothes as last night, coffee steaming in front of him. He was rinsing a glass. He looked up. You're awake, he said calmly. I made coffee. She stared at him. Her eyes dropped. She was wearing a men's shirt, his shirt. What? Her voice cracked. Why am I wearing that? You got sick, Daniel said evenly. Your dress was ruined. I left a clean shirt on the counter and waited in the living room. She swallowed. You didn't? No, he said firmly. I didn't touch you. The silence stretched. You're sure? She asked, quieter now. Daniel met her eyes. I don't cross lines. Even when people blur them. Her shoulders sagged. Thank you, she whispered. He nodded, already pulling on his jacket. I'll see myself out. At the door she spoke again. Daniel. He turned. You didn't have to stay. Yes, ma'am, he said softly. I did. He left before she could say anything else. By noon the whispers had started. By 2 they were everywhere. A photo circulated, grainy, rain-soaked, Daniel carrying Mara into the building. Her head on his shoulder. His arm around her waist. From the right angle it told a story. From the wrong one it told a lie. In the break room, looks like someone knew how to play the long game. Single dad, right? Needs money. Figures. In the parking garage, must be nice getting special treatment. Daniel said nothing. At 3:17 p.m. HR called. Pending investigation, the woman said stiffly. You're suspended, effective immediately. Daniel nodded. I understand. That night Lily noticed. You're home early, she said, coloring at the table. Work stuff, Daniel replied. Did you stop today? She asked suddenly. He looked at her. Yes, he said. I stopped. She smiled and went back to her drawing. If you believe silence can be stronger than shouting, subscribe to the channel. Stories like this are about the moments no one sees, until they matter. Daniel learned very quickly what silence costs. It costs eye contact first. On Monday morning, when he walked into the North Star lobby to return his badge, the security guard who used to nod at him every day didn't look up. The receptionist's smile vanished the moment she saw his face. A group of junior analysts standing near the elevators went quiet mid-sentence. Not awkward quiet. Deliberate. Daniel stood there for a moment, badge in his hand, feeling like he'd crossed an invisible line without knowing where it was drawn. He approached the desk. I'm here to drop this off, he said calmly. The receptionist glanced at the badge, then at him. You'll need to leave it with security. That's fine. She slid a plastic tray across the counter like it was evidence. Daniel placed the badge inside. Her fingers hesitated before pulling the tray back. She didn't say thank you. Daniel turned and walked out. Outside, the city moved the same way it always did. Cars honked. People laughed. Someone spilled coffee and cursed under their breath. The world hadn't changed. Just his place in it. At 10:14 a.m. the anonymous email hit. Subject: the truth about the anniversary night. It landed in inboxes across the company. Edited video. Dramatic music. Cropped angles. Daniel didn't see it, but he felt it. By noon his phone buzzed nonstop. Unknown numbers. Messages he didn't open. One voicemail slipped through before he could silence it. People like you make it harder for real victims, a woman hissed. You should be ashamed. Daniel deleted it without listening to the rest. At home he made Lily lunch like it was a normal day. Grilled cheese. Tomato soup. She sat at the table swinging her legs. Are you in trouble? She asked suddenly. Daniel froze for half a second. No, he said carefully. I'm between things. She studied his face the way only children can. Did you do something bad? No. Did someone else fall? Daniel swallowed. Yes. And you stopped? Yes. She nodded, satisfied. Then it's okay. He turned away so she wouldn't see his eyes. Across the city, Mara Whitmore hadn't slept. She sat in her office long after midnight, the building dark around her, security lights glowing like watchful eyes. Her assistant, Grace, hovered near the door. You should go home, Grace said gently. Mara didn't look up from the laptop. Play it again. Grace hesitated. You've already watched it 6 times. Play. Again. The footage rolled. Parking garage. Time-stamped. Clear. Daniel lifting her from the back seat. Careful. Controlled. Her head falling against his shoulder. His hands visible the entire time. Never wandering. Never lingering. Inside the elevator, audio faint but present. Her voice slurred, everyone leaves. His response steady, I'm not everyone. Mara's throat tightened. The footage continued. Bedroom. Him removing her shoes. Pulling the blanket. Turning away. Her hand grabbing his wrist. Don't leave me like he did. Pause. His answer unmistakable. I won't. Then, distance. Hours of it. Him on the couch. Sitting. Waiting. Not moving. At 2:03 a.m. he stands, checks on her, replaces the water. At 4:41 a.m. he's still there. At 6:02 a.m. he's cleaning broken glass in the kitchen. No edits. No music. No narrative. Just truth. Mara slammed the laptop shut. This is my fault, she said hoarsely. Grace didn't argue. I let them destroy him, Mara continued, because it was easier to stay quiet. Grace chose her words carefully. You didn't know how bad it was. Mara laughed bitterly. I'm the CEO. Not knowing is still on me. Her phone buzzed. Sure. Recommendation, immediate termination. Mara stared at the screen. Then she stood. No, she said aloud. Absolutely not. Daniel's suspension letter arrived the next morning. Printed. Formal. Cold. He read it once. Folded it. Placed it in the kitchen drawer beside Lily's drawings. That afternoon he ran into Paul from accounting at the grocery store. Paul looked at him, then quickly away. Hey, Daniel said, nodding politely. Paul flushed. Hey. They stood in the same aisle, cereal boxes between them like a barrier. Paul cleared his throat. Listen, I don't know what happened. But, you know how things look. Daniel met his eyes. I do. Paul shifted uncomfortably. If it's true, it's not, Daniel said calmly. Paul hesitated. Then why aren't you saying anything? Daniel thought of Lily. Of the rule. Because the truth doesn't need me to scream, he said. It just needs time. Paul didn't know what to say to that. The all-hands meeting email went out at 7:02 a.m. Friday morning. Mandatory attendance. No exceptions. Speculation exploded. She's going to fire him publicly. I heard legal's involved. They might call the police. Daniel received the email too. At the bottom, one line, your presence is required. He stared at the screen for a long time. Then he replied with one word. Understood. The auditorium was full. 900 employees. Standing room only. Daniel entered quietly through the side door. The noise dipped when people saw him. Some stared. Some looked away. A few whispered. He took a seat in the back. Alone. At exactly 9 a.m. Mara Whitmore walked onto the stage. No entourage. No notes. Just a remote in her hand. The room went silent. I won't waste your time, she began. Because I've already wasted enough of someone else's. Murmurs rippled. She took a breath. 3 days ago, many of you decided who Daniel Carter was. Daniel's name landed heavy in the air. You judged him based on a photo, a video, a narrative that felt comfortable. She clicked the remote. The screen lit up. Now, she said, voice steady, you're going to see the full truth. The footage played. Raw. Uncut. No commentary. No music. Just reality. Gasps echoed through the room. Someone covered their mouth. By the time the footage ended, the auditorium was dead silent. Mara stepped forward. While you were gossiping, she said, this man was protecting me. While you were speculating, he was staying on a couch to make sure I was safe. She turned, directly, toward Daniel. I failed him, she said plainly. I let my silence become permission. She faced the crowd again. This is not a termination. She lifted an envelope. It's a promotion. Shock rippled. Effective immediately, she continued, Daniel Carter is appointed Director of Professional Standards and Ethics. Daniel closed his eyes for half a second. Applause started, hesitant, uneven. Mara raised her hand. For those who spread false accusations, she said, HR will be contacting you. The applause stopped. Meeting adjourned. Daniel didn't move. Mara stepped off the stage and walked straight toward him. I owe you an apology, she said quietly. A real one. He looked at her. You fixed it, he said. That matters. She swallowed. I doubted you. I know. A beat. Coffee? She asked. He almost smiled. That night Lily waited by the door. How was work? She asked. Daniel knelt eye level. I got a new job, he said. Her eyes widened. Did you stop? Yes. She hugged him hard. Good, she said. Then everything's okay. Daniel held her tight. Daniel didn't feel triumphant walking back into North Star Dynamics. He felt watched. Not in the way people watch someone important. In the way people watch someone they wronged and don't know how to face yet. The lobby looked the same. The marble floors still gleamed. The company logo still stretched across the wall in brushed steel. But the air was different. A few people nodded as he passed. One woman stopped him near the elevators. Daniel, she said quietly. He paused. Yes. Oh. I'm sorry, she said, words tumbling out fast, like she needed to get them out before she lost the nerve. I shared things I shouldn't have. I didn't know. He held up a hand. You don't owe me an explanation, he said calmly. Just do better next time. Her eyes filled. I will. He nodded once and stepped into the elevator. The doors closed. Only then did he exhale. His new office sat on the executive floor. Glass walls. City view. A desk far too clean for someone like him. Daniel stood in the doorway for a long moment, hands in his pockets, unsure if he belonged there. Then he pulled something from his bag. Lily's drawing. 2 stick figures. One taller. One smaller. Hands connected. At the top, in crooked letters, we stop. Always. He pinned it to the wall behind the desk. Then he sat down. His first meeting was with HR. Not friendly. Necessary. A woman slid a folder across the table. Complaints, she said. False ones. Retractions. Consequences. Daniel didn't open it. I'm not here to punish people, he said. I'm here to change behavior. She frowned slightly. Some of them hurt you. Yes, he said. And they're still employees. That means they still matter. She studied him carefully. You're serious. I am. The training session was scheduled for Friday afternoon. Mandatory. All departments. The same auditorium where his name had been dragged through whispers only days earlier. Daniel stood backstage adjusting the microphone. Mara approached quietly. You don't have to do this alone, she said. He smiled faintly. I know. You're nervous. A little. She tilted her head. You shouldn't be. He looked at her. Being right doesn't mean being comfortable. She nodded. That might be the truest thing anyone said to me in years. They stood side by side as the room filled. 900 people. Watching. Waiting. Daniel stepped out onto the stage. No applause. No hostility. Just attention. My name is Daniel Carter, he began. Some of you know me. Some of you think you do. A ripple of uncomfortable laughter moved through the room. I'm not here to make anyone feel ashamed, he continued. Shame doesn't teach. It just hides. He clicked the remote. Lily's drawing appeared on the screen. This is my daughter's, he said. She drew it the day I got suspended. Murmurs spread. She asked me if I stopped. He went on. If I helped when someone fell. That's our rule. He paused. I said yes. And she told me everything would be okay. Silence. Integrity isn't about policies, Daniel said. It's about who you are when defending yourself would be easier than staying quiet. Someone in the front row swallowed hard. You don't need to destroy someone to protect yourself, he added. You don't need certainty to choose decency. He let the words sit. I don't want apologies, he said finally. I want awareness. I want us to pause before we judge. To ask better questions. To remember there are people behind the rumors. He stepped back. That's all. The applause didn't start immediately. But when it didn't stop. People stood. Not because they were told to. Because they needed to. That evening, Daniel picked Lily up from school. She ran toward him, backpack bouncing. Daddy? Miss Parker says you're famous. He laughed. I don't think that's true. You're on the wall, she said seriously. What wall? The big one, she said. With words. Daniel's chest tightened. Weeks passed. The company shifted slowly. Meetings changed tone. Gossip died faster when challenged. People asked questions before drawing conclusions. It wasn't perfect, but it was better. One afternoon, Mara stopped by Daniel's office. She leaned against the doorframe. Coffee? She asked. He glanced at the clock. Is this a professional meeting or a peace offering? She smiled. Both. They walked to the cafe downstairs. You know, she said, stirring her drink, I used to think leadership meant never being vulnerable. And now I think it means owning the damage when you are. He nodded. That's harder. Yes, she said. But it lasts longer. She hesitated. I kept something, she added. From her bag she pulled a small object. A button. From his shirt. The one she'd worn that morning. I didn't mean to, she said quickly. I wanted a reminder. Of what? That good people still exist, she said softly. And that power doesn't excuse blindness. Daniel held the button for a moment. Small things matter, he said. They tell big stories. She smiled. Emma's 10th birthday came faster than Daniel expected. They kept it simple. Cupcakes, balloons, friends. Daniel was taping streamers in the break room when Mara walked in carrying a large box. I hope this is okay, she said. Emma spotted her and gasped. You came. Mara knelt. I wouldn't miss it. Emma tore open the box. Paints, brushes, canvas. Her eyes went wide. This is real art stuff. For a real artist, Mara said. Emma hugged her. Thank you for being nice to my daddy. Mara blinked fast. Later, as they cleaned up, Daniel stood beside Mara watching Emma laugh with her friends. She's remarkable, Mara said. She reminds me who I want to be, Daniel replied. Mara nodded. I think we all need that. She glanced at him. Same time next year? He smiled. It's a date. That night, Daniel and Lily walked home under the streetlights. Daddy, she said, swinging his hand, did the people learn? I think some of them did, he said. And the rest are trying. That's okay, she said. Trying counts. He laughed softly. Yes, it does. Above them the city glowed. Not perfect, but honest. Some stories don't end with applause. They end with trust restored. With hands still held. With quiet hope that stays. If this story stayed with you, subscribe to the channel. Here we tell stories about integrity, dignity, and the kind of strength that doesn't need to shout. Because doing the right thing never goes out of style.